And I guess I read the Human Rights Watch report on the revival of physical progress that made, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. How do we keep on going forward? And I said because I'm also very sensitive to the fact that sometimes public U.S. pressure can backfire. So I guess what I'm looking for is some kind of guidance here is for those of us who want to expand political rights in Bahrain, for those of us who want to urge the government to move away from torture, and any suggestions on what you think we can do here to play a positive, constructive role? Anybody?
I think one thing is for a consistent message, whether it's in public or in private, and I think that does require some action by the Bahraini authorities to address some of the serious human rights problems, like torture, like restrictions on political association, that have been raised here today.
And your knowledge, we are pushing the issue of concerning torture, or is that kind of?
Well, I think when I've met with it, that he does that in these high meetings. I think they are concerned about these issues. I might point out that one of the issues that Katie raised, trafficking, that's an area where Congress has mandated kind of like a report card.
Sure.
And Bahrain has been struggling, quite frankly, to maintain that kind of tier 2 level and not slip down into tier 3. And one of the difficulties there has been, as it is in the torture area of torture, the law enforcement problem. There haven't been any serious prosecutions. And I know that the ambassador, because he has to deliver this report to the State Department and then to Congress, has been very keen that they do something about that just in this one area. And it's been difficult. So I know there's been a consistent message on that. And despite that, I think the results have been not what they should be. So I agree that there are real problems here that are going to be difficult to get at. But I think the U.S. does need to. It doesn't have to use a bullhorn to do this, but I think it does need to signal that certain things in the relationship could become at stake if there are.
Or maybe some of us on this committee can actually maybe put in writing some of our concerns and send it directly to the government of Bahrain to say, again, in a way that we want. Our goal here is to, not say we got you. Our goal here is to say we want things to change and we want to move things in a constructive way. So maybe we can do something here.
Yeah, sure. I echo all that. I think that it's obvious that the U.S. has a very strong and kind of multifaceted relationship that's important not only to the very important to Bahrain. I think we have lots of points of leverage. The free trade agreement, the military relationship, the security relationship, and the 20 million or so that we get in military security assistance each year. I think it's probably how to use these leverage, and I think there's administration that would have some leeway in terms of public pressure combined with private diplomacy. I think that my impression is that the message is not necessarily getting through that these issues are a priority to the U.S. government. You mentioned reporting requirements, and there have also been reporting requirements, for example, attached to some of the appropriations. For example, in last year's appropriations bill, there was a reporting requirement to human rights in Morocco. A similar requirement can be made in Bahrain.
I think any direct interference will be unaccepted from the government or the parties, political parties in Bahrain. I think the best way is to encourage the dialogue between the parties, Sunnis, Shias, and the government. This is the only way to improve the human rights issues in Bahrain.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Mr. Kasman.
Thank you very much. I think, obviously I'm not speaking to the State Department here, but they would probably say that a lot of this is that they are doing. For example, the Middle East Partnership Initiative money, a lot of that goes to increase transparency. They've used a lot of that to help them implement the free trade agreement and open up their books and be transparent. and the IMET program, International Military Education and Training Program, which has expanded, I think, 1.1 million is programmed for this coming fiscal year. That's not only teaching them how to command, but also human rights, civil control of the military, and the work they're doing in Afghanistan. These 100 police, they're working with us and with NATO. Again, some of it is obviously combat and counterinsurgency, but a lot of it is human rights, strict accountability of policing, etc. So there are a lot of things, I think, that are going on that are feeding this agenda to try to move Bahrain in a positive way on these issues.
And if I could just build momentarily on what Mr. Katzman had said, in addition to the Middle East Partnership Initiative, there's also State Department's Department of Human Rights and Labor, DRL, also funding for some of their projects to help civil society advance some of these issues. Can also be helpful as well as the private diplomacy.
And obviously, I'm not an expert on Bahrain, but a lot of these programs that you've outlined are in place in a lot of other countries that I know a lot more about in terms of the human rights record, and that doesn't necessarily guarantee that, in fact, human rights will be upheld, or that, practices of torture will be reversed. So I think a lot of it comes down to the political will and the messaging from the United States on this, is that this is an important issue, and and again, to the extent that we could be, again, the consistent message, I think, is important, that not just some members of Congress, but the State Department is making it very clear that this issue is, the concern is growing, and I think that that's probably the message of this hearing. The concern is growing, and we're worried about some of these reports, and to the extent that we can be helpful in moving and encouraging Bahrain to take a different tack through these programs, but also through the political kind of messaging, I think that's what we need to do. Thank you again very much. I appreciate it. Sorry I can't stay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to focus on a couple of things. One, I think, Dr. Al-Ansari, in your testimony, you spoke rather extensively about religious freedom and association, and to the extent that I can discern it, I don't know that our other witnesses have raised those as a human rights concern, particularly with Bahrain. So I'd like to actually, ask about that to our three witnesses, Mr. McInerney, Ms. Zoglin, Mr. Stork, but then focus particularly on political association, because I think that is where the focus has been for much of the testimony. And in particular, I know that political parties are banned in Bahrain, but political societies are allowed and do participate in elections. And so I wonder if you all also could explain the difference between these organizational structures and whether there's collaborations among the societies. And I was especially struck, Mr. McInerney, by your indication of the situation with NDI in terms of being able to even observe the upcoming elections and to come in country to discuss that with civil society leaders, and perhaps Dr. Al-Ansari could shed some additional light there. So let's begin with you, Mr. McInerney.